Hello and welcome to this week 5. It's a super week of the OPL, baby. Hello, I'm your host, Michael Hingers-Hing. Hang on a second. No, I'm not. Matt, can we take that again? What, we're live? It's Friday, Matt. Matt, I haven't even got my pants on. What's up, OPL fans? Welcome to week 5. It is the super week of the OPL in Split 2. I'm your host, Jake Spawn Tiberian. Joining me on the desk is the handsome Matthew Fish-Stewart. And, of course, a guest from the LPL, Zach Rusty Pie. Thanks for being here, guys. Super week. Day 1 of Super Week, we have 3 big days of OPL coming up. What are you looking forward to the most?
I mean, I'm looking forward to this day. Of course, I get to be here for this day, so that's why I'm looking forward to it. But even the matches today are fantastic. And one thing I will add is I could promise you at least 2 of us have pants on right now behind this desk.
Yeah, that's a given. That was a bit scary, Jay. Come on, you need to wear pants. I know Pantless Friday is a thing, but we're on broadcast.
Yeah, it certainly is. Stealing a little bit of the Hamish and Andy theme going on here. But, of course, let's have a look at the standings because, of course, everything is subject to change this Super Week. But at the start of it, Direwolves is currently sitting undefeated on top of the table. Of course, Chiefs lost their best of 3 against them. So whilst they're on the same amount of points, they are officially second. Legacy rounds out our top 3. And Avant and Sin have, at the moment, stayed in the running for that gauntlet spot. Of course, Abyss, TM Gaming, as well as Regicide are currently 6th, 7th, and 8th, respectively, meaning they're on their way towards promo relegation. But, of course, all of that is subject to change, guys. Let's have a look at this week's games. It is going to be Super Week, and we have so many games to bring you. And as Rusty was saying, today is actually a little bit of a cracketer. It kicks off with Sin versus Direwolves, and this is turning into a little bit of a grudge match between these 2 junglers. Chiefs will then take on Legacy for what is the El Clasico OPL, I think Hingers calls it, so I'll fill in there. Tomorrow, of course, Abyss versus Avant will kick us off, and then Regicide will take on Sin Gaming. Sunday, once again at 3 p.m, we'll see Team Regicide take back to Summoner's Rift to go up against TM Gaming. And then we have, of course, Legacy versus Abyss Esports to round out Super Week. Of course, next week we have another Super Week, but that's a lot of games for this week. And it is certainly going to be interesting to see all these teams come together. However, I don't want to talk about that for the moment. I want to talk about an actual in-game change. Let's talk about patch 7.14 because it's a contentious patch. What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
It's contentious, I think, to say the least. There's 2 places that you could direct your attention towards. One of them, I don't even really need to explain it to everyone. It's Duskblade of Drakthar, which is just kind of nutty. The second one is tank items and where tanks are going, because those 2 things to me are the standouts.
All right, so let's start with the tank changes. We've got Cinderhulk and the changes that have come through there. Of course, the Barmy Cinder. What that's done to junglers. We've got Warmog's Rush. We've got Thornmail. I mean, what is it about tanks right now? Is it just those 3 things? Were they always coming back and this pushed them over the edge?
I mean, I guess so. I think this pushed tanks over the edge. We see Gragas coming back. We saw Rek'Sai come back, and both of them moved away from both the AP jungle items as well as warrior item on Rek'Sai, and they built Cinderhulk. Cinderhulk changes came through, now more damage to monsters, cheaper to build as well, and that brought back more junglers as well. We see Cho'Gath coming in and a lot more tanky junglers.
Yeah, we saw a couple of those in the EULCS last night, of course, starting to see all these tanks crop up. I think Barmy Cinder in 7.13 was the start of the tanks coming in, and then we buffed the tank items just that little bit more, so 7.14. All we're seeing really is those tanks.
And we saw Ambition, I believe, over in the LCS start this craze of Warmog's Rush after his Cinderhulk. So he was going for Cinderhulk straight away into Warmog's. It gives you cooldown reduction, keeps you topped up, which means that you can, always look for those engages. What do we think about Warmog's? Is it good? Is it bad?
Fish?
I don't like it. I much prefer the Knight's Vow Rush, which we see used in the LPL very commonly. We saw Schönfire pick it up as well as Juves during Rift Rivals. I think it gives the utility for your AD carry or your AP damage dealer in the mid lane to be a little bit more defensive and heal up your jungler, and it gives you that resistance stat that you quite need at the moment, because a lot of mid laners, they're rushing Landries, they're getting a lot of penetration, lethality's back. You need some resistances against them.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if the idea is to heal up your jungler, Knight's Vow is less efficient than a Warmog's, right? It's about the stylistic difference between the 2 choices. Knight's Vow's protect your AD carry. Warmog's is I'm going to frontline, I'm going to get to half health, then I'm just going to back away, and in 20 seconds, I'm going to frontline again.
But what's better for team fights? Because, there are some teams out there that they rely on their junglers to start up these fights. I'm looking at teams like Legacy who will get to see to play. Then we have teams like, Sin and Direwolves that rely on their jungler to protect their AD carry a little bit more. So is that the stylistic difference we're going to see? Both of them are very fight heavy in my opinion.
I mean, especially for Direwolves and Sin, they have fantastic mid laners, fantastic AD carries. I believe the Night Spell Rush, we've both shown
You
fire.
saying Claire and Lost, just slipping behind a little bit there, Fish?
Lost maybe not so much. Claire, a little bit. He's a little bit of a solo hero in the mid lane there. Doesn't get too much help from good old Timmy Wendell, but at the same time, I believe the Night Spell helps out teams that have these hyper carries in the mid lane and the AD carry position, which they very often rely upon.
Yeah, and it's also contextual on the team comps firstly, and yes, when you look at the styles of the players, if I would say like Direwolves maybe would be more towards the Warmogs now, maybe even then the Night's Vow, even though Shern has got support tendencies, he still wants to be the engage of the team. His Gragas play Sejuani is one of the few champions who will always go Warmogs for, just because she has a passive that gives the resistances, so you only really need the health.
All right, enough on the tanks. That's the boring side of League of Legends. Let's move towards the lethality changes. Of course, lethality now scales with your level, not your opponent's level, as it did in the past. It also has a cool indicator now that actually shows you how much lethality you have. I like that quality of life changes. And Duskblade has once again burst onto Summoner's Rift. Great vision control, no internal cooldown. What more can I say about this item? We are playing on hot fixed 7.14, so it has been nerfed slightly, but is that enough?
Yeah, it's been nerfed until about level 9, and for a 2,900 gold item, it doesn't do a whole lot in the way of the nerf. You'd be looking, you mentioned Zed earlier, that's probably the one champion that can't just pick up a Duskblade at level 5 and one-hit people now. You're still waiting for level 9, which is nice at the breakpoint. But yeah, look, Duskblade, it's kind of nuts.
I mean, I like it because it's going to bring back more picks. We're going to see Talon come back again. We're going to see Zed come back again. I'm really excited for those, but it also buffs up picks that we've already seen cropped up. Varus now has the option to go back towards lethality builds. Jace has been popping up time and time again. Maybe he can go back towards lethality again. So it's going to make this a very interesting meta.
I mean, the thing that gets me, though, right, is it's designed now, we changed lethality so that it's based off your level, yet Misfortune exists and can still first item get a Duskblade as a duo laner, so your level's like really, really low. That's my concern with the item's strength. It's meant to be solo laners that get it, but AD carries are.
All right, last thing I want to hit on, my man, Kayn in the jungle, Blue Kayn, Red Kayn, Cinderhulk Warrior. How are you playing it, Rusty? I mean, I'm feeding in solo queue. Maybe you've had some more success.
I think I've got like a 40% win rate.
I think I'm like 26, so don't worry about it.
But I primarily go Red Kayn. I know you're primarily the Blue Kayn. I have tried both. I do think that Red is better just for like a competitive sense, where Blue is much more about being the assassin, will be more successful potentially in solo queue.
All right, let's take a look at today's first matches as we bring it up onto your screen. It is going to be Sin Gaming taking on the Direwolves. And these two teams went to Rift Rivals together. Juice has been very outspoken that Shern is helping him. How do you think they stack up, and what are we looking for out of this matchup?
Direwolves are definitely the favorites coming into this one, but as you mentioned, I'm really excited to see this pseudo-apprentice against master matchup between Juice and Shernfire, because, as you mentioned, very vocal during not only this split, but also during the Gauntlet last split about how he's getting a lot of help. I want to see if that's enough to take down the master of Shernfire.
Yeah, and I think that whilst both of them are very big leaders on their team, they're kind of leaders in different ways, Rusty. Very vocal Juice, he likes to pump the boys up, but Shern, a little bit more of the on-Summoner's Rift leader.
Yeah, less vocal, more makes the plays that get his team the victories, and that's the difference between them, though. And you look at this, it's a super week. Juice, Sin, they're always going to be pumped up for this moment, so he will be the in-game leader, and he will be fiery, and that's when Sin usually look their best. When you look towards Shernfire, like, well, he's going to be consistently good. It's about who he's playing against on that day.
And I really want to see if Juice can be consistently good as well, because that's the biggest criticism we've had for him this entire year, that he has had up and down performances on opposite end of the spectrum. So we need him to be consistent.
But I want to add a contentious opinion in here, because I think that Direwolves kind of perform well regardless of what Shern does in the game, whereas Sin only play well when Juice fired. I mean, we saw Direwolves, Shernfire, nearly Flame Horizon Sybil last week, and they still dropped that game, Fish. Is that, lack of support from the rest of the members? What is it exactly that lost them that game, and where can Sin look to replicate the feats that AV were able to pull off?
Well, again, that match that Direwolves dropped, they relied on King to try and hypercarry on the Kog'Maw. They had no other threats, and this is the team that relies so much on their solo lane threats of Fantix, of Chippies. Whereas for Sin, we've seen it before. They're a big ARAM heavy team. They like to run it straight down mid lane. They like to run straight towards the opposition. They need to work as 5.
Is that a deficiency in team, or is that a bad comp right now? The LPL currently plays a lot of Protect the AD Carry, Rusty. They play a lot of Kog'Maw. They play a lot of Twitch. Do you think it's a meta for Protect the AD Carry, or do you think, swinging back the other way?
It's kind of on the swing back towards maybe the tank type of meta, and then your AD carries are going to be more the Jhin and Misfortunes. Now Kog'Maw will start to drop off all over again. Compliments of lethality and the fact that tanks are now unbearable again. Kog'Maw can still hard carry. You need something that can take apart tanks, especially if they're running rampant with Cinderhulks again. But going for a Kog'Maw, protecting the Kog'Maw more comp. It's just really risky.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we've seen that time and time again. The other thing we've seen is maybe Shern's early game being phenomenal fish, and something we've talked about a lot on the desk, but his late game decision making sometimes questionable.
Yeah, we saw it from the start when he first joined the OPL. His pathing was great. It was very reminiscent of SOFM from the LPL, how he had these very strange, unorthodox pathing, and he does very well early. He sets up his lanes for success, which is great to see because Chippies and Fantics are really big carries for the team, but late game decision making coming out from Shernfire has been very questionable, especially during Rift Rivals, where in fact I believe he costed them quite a few games there.
When you're a pathing jungler, you run out of paths to take when it hits late game, right?
Certainly does. And maybe the two people that benefit from their jungler's attention the most when we have a look at this are their mid laners. We've got Ryoma going up against Fantix. And this is kind of the battle of the old versus the new. Fantix has been around on the server for so long, Rusty. Big legacy player. At the same time, Ryoma's kind of come out of nowhere, competitively at least. He was on Legacy Genesis Chiefs B team, and now seems to be taking over with Sin.
Yeah, it definitely does. Ryoma, he is an absolute gun when you watch him play League of Legends. He's very exciting to watch and does have these massive plays. His ability to team fight even as a new player has looked stellar because his awareness of where to be in those team fights is incredible. But up against someone like Fantix who can team fight, can split push, can do all of these extra things, you would say maybe the experience there can tide him over to have that slight edge in this matchup against the young gun.
A big scary thing about Ryoma as well is that his Talia is almost permanently banned out against him. So he does have a limited champion pool, almost can play quite a few, unlike Fantix who can play almost everything. But those few champions he can play, he's an absolute gun on.
Who did the lethality changes help the most? Is it Fantix being able to pull out the Talon and the Jace? Now, has Ryoma got something for us?
I think like it always favors whoever plays Jace right now because Jace is the strongest champion and should be in every single pick ban phase that we see for all of today. But I mean, it favors both of them in different ways. I think Ryoma may be more towards, like, he's got Zeds there that he can play in his arsenal. There are still things that we look towards with that, but I'd say maybe Fantix because he plays the Talon.
I actually really think it heavily favors Fantix because of that reason as well. He plays Talon, he plays Jace. Ryoma's more of a mage-based player, likes the Orianna, likes the Talia, likes the Victor. He can pull out Zed, but the question is Zed back because of Duskblade? Not quite sure if that's enough to bring him back in.
So TLDR, it's back because Sin Gaming's top laner Dockler. So he's a bigger beneficiary of that. They're going to put him on JC if he can carry. Let's have a look at Sin Gaming's lineup for you guys as we bring him up on your screen. This is a team that has been so hot lately since their gauntlet run. They do have a new top laner in Dockler. He now has had half a split to try and settle on this team behind his captain and jungler, Juice, who also needs to ramp up his play if they have a hope today. Ryoma is their mid laner. FBI is their young gun 80 carry. Rogue is their support. And of course, their coach, who they will be relying on heavily with such a quick turnaround on this patch, is going to be Benzel.
And from weeks 1 to 4, we kept questioning Dockler. Is he doing enough? Is he leading up to the hyper flares? I think now, or last week at least, is where we rest those questions. He did fantastic for Sin. It was crucial to their success, crucial to their victory, and I think he's settling quite well with the squad now.
Rumor has it he's still in the bottom lane, split pushing his way to victory, just banging on that Nexus.
Rumor has it so was Fantix when he teleported away from a pentakill at Rift Rivals. I remember that. No, I think that I would still look towards Dockler. I would say that, yes, maybe he silenced the critics and he's gone to an international event, so get some extra experience there, working with Sin under strict conditions, but I still worry for his ability to perform against Chippies.
Yeah, talking about another team that has some international events, let's bring up Direwolves roster, of course, the roster that went to MSI Plains, the first seed that also went to Rift Rivals, and it is the Kiwi up in the top lane. Chippies going to be looking to carry against Dockler in today's game. Shern is, of course, their superstar jungler. Fantix is the perfect mid laner. It's your boy King in 80 carry, and Destiny is their support. Of course, standing behind this squad is one of the most intelligent coaches in the league. Also has the benefit of being an ex-pro player in both mid lane and top lane himself. It is going to be Sharp. And this team adapts very, very quickly, patch to patch.
They certainly do, and it's a team that's full of superstars. Chippies and Fantix, very strong solo laners. You've got Shernfire, who is an up-and-coming jungler, now doing fantastically, as well as a bottom laner that has not only great talent in King, but great shot calling from Destiny as well.
Yeah, I look towards Direwolves, and it's a stacked roster, to be fair. You're right in saying they adjust to the patches, to the meta super quickly, and that's because they have been playing at least League of Legends for long enough that their champion pools are deep enough. They will be perfectly fine here, as long as Sharp gives them the right things.
And that's who I want to talk about. I actually want to take our attention towards two of the coaches because, you know, we talk about Jish a lot, we talk about Soul Strikes a lot, but two of the coaches that have been around for a very long time now, but don't generally fall to the wayside, is going to be Benzel and Sharp. And today, I mean, on such a quick turnaround from the patch, what do we expect out of these guys?
I mean, this is the moment where you look towards their ability to adapt quickly. Firstly, is Kayn going to exist is my first question for them. It's been 4 days. There's a chance that your opponents haven't played against it or as it, and they don't know what it does. They don't know how to deal with it. And suddenly you've got this advantage because you've practiced with it. I mean, that's the first place I'd look. And the second part of it is, are they obsessed with the lethality meta because they've been playing solo queue, or will they actually bring those tanks in?
It's going to be really huge to see which coach reads the patch better. I'm going to really look towards Benzel as well, because Sin, they're currently in the middle of the ladder. They really need a victory here over Direwolves to propel them up closer to 3rd and 2nd place. If Benzel has read the patch better than Sharp here and sets Sin up for success, that might be enough to take them out.
And I know one player that thought he had done that was Rogue. He was very confident on Twitter earlier today. He tweeted out this was going to be the victory that catapults them towards that contention for 1st place, the ability to go back to the World's play-ins. I mean, Rogue is a very polarizing player, I would say that. He's very confident in himself. Is he as good as he is making out, Rusty? You play against him all the time?
I mean, on Thresh, he is definitely as good, but he also bans my Thresh away from him, is a little bit afraid, which is kind of funny. Rogue, he has the potential to be a superstar, but right now he's flanked by those who have maybe more potential in that exact vein. So now Rogue's job is to be less of the carry and more of the facilitator, and I wonder if that's where Rogue actually does start to fall down, because he's got that confidence, he's got that strong mentality, and maybe he has too much of it in a game where he should be letting his team carry.
But he has been synergizing really well with FBI, and he's been a super hard carry for Sin so far. In fact, a lot of the games where FBI makes the final mistake is where Sin lose. So if Rogue can keep him hold him back a little bit so he doesn't make these mistakes, that might be what Sin needs for success.
And does the Caitlyn change, less attack speed now as it ramps up throughout the levels? Does that push her a little bit out of favor? Is she still the best AD carry? Is FBI still going to be able to tear teams apart with it?
I mean, I think Caitlyn is still probably one of the best AD carries, but when you look at the lethality changes, I still think Jin's now probably the best, just because of what he's able to provide for the teams. Again, utility and a crazy amount of burst coming out of a similar range champion. Caitlyn, still very oppressive, still has a lot of push, can control Jin, but the concern is the first item spikes.
It almost feels like Caitlyn's now dedicated to basically different types of team compositions. So you can no longer pick her as a one-pick-fits-all type of situation. You have to pick her for these siege, you have to pick her for prolonged laning phases, make sure she's shoving out these waves. If someone takes a Lucian or a Misfortune into you with lots of lethality, she might just blow up.
All right, cool. So we've talked about this matchup a lot. I feel like we're going back and forth. No one's really committing. I'm going to make you commit now. Give me your predictions. Sin versus the Direwolves, game 1 of Super Week. Who wins it, Rusty, and why?
You want to give it to Sin because your heart says Sin every single time. Their super weeks, they're incredible, but you can't look past the Direwolves in any matchup right now. I think they'll be able to take it, and I don't think it will be that clean, though, so I'd say 2-1.
I completely agree, Rusty. I think it's going to be a 2-1 going to the Direwolves. After the performance against AV last week, I don't think they have what it takes to get a perfect series here.
But Juve said if it goes to Messi, they beat every team in Messi. They're the most experienced Messi team in the world. I don't know what's going on here. Let's see what you guys think at home as we bring up your predictions as well. Of course, sponsored by Uber Eats there. It is going to be the Direwolves. 90% of people actually think they're going to win this game. However, it is nearly 50% thinking it will be a 2-1. So majority currently look like they are on the side of the analysts. However, I don't really care what Rusty and Fish think. I want to hear what you guys at home think. So join the conversation. Get involved on Twitter. Use that hashtag IamOPL. Tweet at OPL. And we've actually got a subject for you guys. Ask our analysts what they currently think about any of the 7.14 changes. If you've got a question about Duskblade, Warmogs, anything between, tweet at us, ask. Rusty's a very smart guy. I'm sure he'll be able to help you out there. However, guys, I think we are actually nearly ready to get into game 1 as we get into this. Actually, we're still a couple of minutes away. So, we'll just continue to have a chat about this game. Let's talk about top laners. Last area I want to talk about. Chippies has, at the moment, he had a rough Rift Rivals, I think it's fair to say. Archie actually pulled him apart in that last game. Beat him in a counter pick that Chippies actually surfaced throughout that tournament. Has he still got the mentality to be able to go up against Doppler? Because in the past, Rusty, a long time ago, Chippy's mentality was questioned a lot.
Yeah, when he was on Sin, his mentality was questioned, and he had a very poor playoffs run when he was with Sin, came to Direwolves, and it looked like the mentality had shifted, and then went to MSI, it kind of shattered again, goes to Rift Rivals, and it started strong, then started to shatter again, and you really do bring that into question here. I feel like he'll be okay here, though.
I certainly hope he is. I'm going to hold that thought, Fish. We are actually into Champion Select, so I'm going to relinquish my microphone. I'm going to give it back to my play-by-play caster.
Oh, finally something I can do with confidence here, Spawn. There's a reason why I'm not usually an analyst on these desks. But we are into Champion Select for game number 1 between Sin and Smalls and Direwolves, and bans have come through already. There's those.
Mouse pad?
I believe it was.
Everyone holding up the Gigabyte Marines mouse pad?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of the Sin players pick that up. Saw them in the lobby earlier, but seems like there's been a lot of reads on the lethality changes because Kha'Zix's Talon banned out here, as well as Jace from the Direwolves. Braum and Caitlyn will still hit the bench with Zac as the final ban.
Yeah, Zac's a very good respect ban. When you look at the Kha'Zix ban as well, I think he's now cropped up to be an S-tier jungler.
Yeah.
Has the utility and the damage, but I'd also say the second S-tier jungler is the current one that has just been locked in fished by Sin.
And that's going to be Gragas. It's curious that Sin banned out the Kha'Zix though, because Juice is one of the few OPL players that has been picking up Kha'Zix, you know, back and back, week to week, I should say. Even though other picks like the Rek'Sai are left open. Now we'll have to see what Direwolves respond with. Rek'Sai is still open, Elise is still up, but they pick up Thresh first.
Yeah, and I think that's a big respect pick away. You can't allow, you can't not ban Thresh and then allow it to go through second rotation. So Sin has taken the best jungler in their opinion. Direwolves have to be able to snap up the Thresh. Destiny think it's one of his best champions. I'm of a contentious opinion on this. He has good and bad games on it.
Yeah, definitely. It'll still be good for Destiny. He's played it a lot, and he's got a new AD carry that's going to be coming down there with him. I know that I've seen a little bit of this Spawn. You were watching that game. He's a pretty good Tristana king.
That's locked in for King here. I have to see how that goes. There was a champion that rose in popularity, go up against Kalista. We saw Gigabyte Marines use it very unorthodoxly in Rift Rivals Purple. Direwolves seem to like to pick up the champion as soon as they possibly can. However, Sin, they're going to pick up Xayah as well as Rakan. No time Kenshin to this Thresh lane.
Yeah, that's really strange. I like the Rakan. He can match aggression, and he's got the same kind of playmaking style that Thresh is going to bring to Summoner's Rift. However, I will question not picking up Kalista if you want to go with the Rakan, because Kalista Rakan seems to be the best playmaking bottom lane. When you have a look at FBI and Rogue, that seems to fit them to a T. So now, all of a sudden, this Xayah has to do very well fish.
And Direwolves are going to pick up Elise as their final pick in the first draft phase. Now they get the first ban as well, and they will have the last pick on the red side.
You have to start hitting Ryoma here. I feel that if Fantix wants to be able to free up his champion pool at all, unless he wants to play something like a Corki, then you really have to start attacking Ryoma. You're not really scared of any other of Dockless champions.
Yeah, you're not afraid, and if you are Sin on the opposite side, though, you've acknowledged that's a pick composition coming through from the Thresh and the Elise already, so maybe there are other champions you want to get rid of to alleviate what complements the pick. Champions like Corki as well for Fantix, who can then get the package and force you to be picked off by slowing areas down and choke pointing you alongside things like a Rumble as an example.
I mean, Rek'Sai still left them available if Sin wants to flex Gragas in the top lane. That's a pick that rose in popularity, go up against the Elise, and Cinderhawk has been buffed as well.
So Fantix wants to blind pick Corki because he's just banned away Kassadin and Zed. They're the two counter picks left available at the moment, so I expect we're going to see a blind Corki out of Fantix right now. They're going to leave counter pick for Chippies, which is something that Direwolves often like to do. They have been punished in the past, but I just feel that Corki right now is going to be the unpunishable answer.
And, you know, just to quickly bring it back to your point, is you've already said what's probably going to happen here. The reason that they may have gone for Xayah that you mentioned before is because it's a Tristana opposing them already locked in, and Kalista loses to that Tristana, and maybe they just want to have more pressure and control in that 2v2 lane, not outright losing.
Well, Sin's final bans were Renekton and Jax, this kind of seems that they might want to play Camille, but don't think Dockline has played that champion yet in the OPL.
Or they want
the final pick is.
Chippies to pick Camille into something they have prepared, because that does kind of force him. No, it was exactly as you said. They want to play Camille themselves. They get rid of the two counters.
Yeah, that's locked in. They get Cassiopeia as well for Ryoma to go up against the Corki. Now we have to see what Chippies decides to throw into his signature pick in the top lane.
So when Chippies came back from Korea, I said, what counters Camille? And he gave me a list. And I'm legit. The list was going and going and going.
Yeah.
So don't be fooled. If he has, only 2 bans against him, he still has things. I was going to say that he goes towards the Olaf a lot, though we haven't seen it lately. I think the Jarvan is going to do absolutely fine in the matchup as well. So I would not be surprised to see Chippy still be able to take it to this point.
I guess your concern there, though, is that you're looking at a Camille against the Jarvan and say one of these in split pushing will definitely outscale the other, and so Sin have got that option for Dockler. They love a good 1-4.
And are we going to see the same build on Jarvan? Black Cleaver, Titanic Hydra, or with the lethality changes? Has that brought him back into the assassin-ish top lane that we saw before?
Ray. He's not Ray. So let's dispel the assassin top lane coming there. Ray, of course, now C9, was a big proponent of that assassin Jarvan. It's fun to play. I don't think it's very good. In a 1v1 split push, Camille would absolutely tear it apart.
Yeah, because you've got outplayers Camille, and there's a way to deny damage from the Jarvan, and he's all about the one hit. So you'd still be looking at Chippies and saying maybe not the lethality, a bit more of an option here for just your standard maybe Titanic Hydra, Black Cleaver.
So it does seem like, Duskblade Draktar is very popular in the current meta. Lethality has been buffed quite a bit. So many bans towards it. Both coaches don't want their teams to deal with any of these big champions, like the Talon, like the Zed.
Yeah, exactly right. We're not going to see a single Duskblade. I'd be surprised if we saw any lethality at all. So this is going to be an interesting game. I think we're going to have a pretty standard game of League of Legends. And I respect that out of the coaches. If you haven't had enough practice on it, ban it away, play comfortable League of Legends.
And I thought if any team was going to bring out something wild, it might have been Sin, and maybe only with the one-game advantage, they'll try and push it home and secure a 2-0. So there was a very high chance that this set was just standard League of Legends, where it's almost like an unwritten rule between the teams that we're just going to play what we know is good and ban away what is broken.
And who knows, game 2 between these two teams could change absolutely everything. We know after those bans that lethality is very popular, but none being picked here, going back to stock standard. As you mentioned, the Xayah pick coming out a little bit unorthodox. Haven't seen her for quite a long time. Smash me over Kalista, but we'll have to see how she does on the Rift as we are into game number 1 between Sin and Direwolves.
And you can see straight away, everyone going into a little bit of a fan out. So whilst a pick comp is available for the Direwolves lineup, they're not going for anything cheesy. They are a team that enjoys playing some standard League of Legends fish. They think that they can beat you through raw power. And certainly have to look to see where Juve starts. Is this going to be a Raptors? Is there anything cheesy? You know, maybe blue buff into top lane gang to try and get the Camille ahead. Very interested to track the jungler of Sin Gaming at this stage.
Whereas Sin, they know they're a scrappy team. They like to play scrappy. We'll have to see what they're going to be doing in this match. I'm curious to see if any jungler decides not to start at their Raptor camp, because quite a few teams internationally have been punishing junglers for not doing that by taking away all these small chickens at level 1. Just from their top laner as well as mid laner.
And this is very respectful from, again, both teams going for your standard 5-point. If you're usually playing against the Jarvan, one of the cheesy ways to win the lane early with a potion advantage, you get a free level 2 mark, is to sit in the tri-bush and wait for him to go from the leash back towards you. But because Sin didn't get knowledge, they got no information about where Schoenfire is going to be starting, besides the one ward at the Raptors. There was no real opportunity to go and take that, push that advantage and win the 1v1 trade.
I didn't actually quite catch it. If Shern got spotted out and he has a Hunter's Machete, I think they know he's starting on a buff, because on Elise,
you have to with Machete.
You have to start on a buff with Machete, otherwise you get too low. It's also a much quicker way to jungle at the moment, so I like this. You can see straight away, Sin's bottom lane pushes up with their duo. They're going to look to deny as much CS and get an earlier level 2.
So they will be able to spot out Juve's, Schoenfire as soon as he moves back towards his Raptor camp.
Yeah, but it's also just the fact that they know, right? So your only concern here, if your Sin is a level 3 experience, Quint gank into the bottom lane from Elise. It's possible, it's not ideal, but it's definitely a possibility, and that's the only thing you'd be scared for.
And Elise is one of those champions that does like to run the experienced Quint, but it doesn't seem like that's the case in this game as Schoenfire does make his way over towards the Raptor camp. Meanwhile, mid lane, Ryoma did take a huge chunk of damage from Fantix, forced to pop a health potion very early on.
And watch where Fantix stands on his creep wave as Corki. He's up right next to his melees a lot of the time. Doesn't utilize that range because he likes to be able to train with the Phosphorus Bombs. He generally goes Phosphorus Bomb, Valk, Phosphorus Bomb again to really be able to start getting that poke down.
And a lot of that is because you no longer run Thunderlords on Corki, where before you would start Gatling Gun, auto attack and proc Thunderlords immediately before backing away. Against a champion like Cassiopeia, it's more important to dodge the Qs as well and not get within the W range. So you're trying to maximize your trade output by going into Q.
Of course, you still go deep into the first tree, but a lot of Corki players right now, as they should be, are going to be taking, you know, that magic penetration. Stay away from the attack damage penetration. I know he's an 80 carry, 80% magic damage at the moment, so make sure you're picking up the right side of the tree, going towards that Warlord steal for the heals. And this should be quite an easy lane now for Fantix. He's got through, you know, the level 1, 2, and 3 that gets scary for Cassiopeia. Now he can sit back, he can start to scale, and unless Ryoma really forces the issue, nothing much should really happen.
He's doing a great job with the mid lane so far. Meanwhile, bottom side of the map, FPI has a sizable CS lead, but Big Wave is pushing in towards the Direwolves turret. King of Destiny sitting back, waiting to farm this up as soon as it crashes in.
And this is that point in the game where Juice is also on the bottom side, so a good ward from Direwolves will prevent any kind of dive, but the respect paid by Direwolves is again why that CS advantage starts to crop up. Tristana is super reliant on trading, but reasonably committal with the type of trading, having to get the 4 auto attacks off, where Xayah and Rakan can just back away.
And that's the biggest weakness of Triss that we just saw there. Very hard to last hit under turret, especially on those ranged minions. One little explosion is going to muck up the rest of the wave, and you really need to work with your support there. So you can see 10 CS is the lead right now. Junglers splitting the halves of the map, and quite a respectful early game overall.
Yeah, very even match to kick things off. We finally get to check him with the top lane. Doppler going up against Chippies.
Ooh, Commando Jarvan.
And he's doing very well in this lane so far.
It's like the bottom half of you under the desk. Wait, what?
But Commando, I haven't seen a Commando Jarvan in a very long time.
Really? I think that has to be one of his most popular skins.
Really?
I believe so.
I don't remember the last time I've
Lubu
seen
Jarvan is like the best Jarvan, right?
Well, I mean, Lubu's the best, so.
But Doppler not doing too well in this lane to kick things off, and Jarvan is usually not very strong until he gets his first item, which is Tiamat.
He still has the Q poke that he goes for, and I didn't see whether actually they both started Corrupting Potion. They didn't. So he's also got the sustain advantage. So I think a little bit of this is a little bit of a misread coming out of Doppler, looking for some extended trades. Now that all of the potion charges are gone from Chippies, he should struggle a little bit more.
And this is something I was trying to talk about earlier, which is Doppler's weakness is Chippy's strength, the laning phase. We see Doppler fall behind so much in just one-on-one matchups. Yep. Chippies loves to stay in this lane all by himself.
Chippies wanted to kill him.
I just want to quickly mention as well, you saw the Zaya Rakan over Tristana tweet that came up. It is curious that they both went for that over the Jhin. We mentioned at the top of the show that Jin's probably the strongest champion of choice with the lethality changes, but Tristana and Zaya are both super hard carries. They're hyper carries that scale well into the late game, and that's where both of these teams are looking. Jhin a bit more of a liability and can be played around. And
Zaya and Trist are kind of the opposite in that Zaya does a fantastic job when teams are trying to dive on top of him.
Trist goes
very,
forwards.
very good. Trist, on the other hand, wants to go forward. She wants to get the first jump out, satchel, and then the kills start leading to resets, and she's able to bunny hop all over Summoner's Rift.
I mean, kind of makes sense. They've got a Cassiopeia on their team, another champion that likes to let teams dive in towards them, whereas Direwolves, you've got a Corki, Jarvan, as well as Elise. Everyone on their team wants to go forward. So a clash of styles here. We'll have to see which one comes out on top. But still very even game between the two teams. Direwolves have a small advantage though, about 600 gold up.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's a small advantage. I mean, 6 minutes in to be down just passively off lane, and a lot of that being in the top lane, 600 gold. I mean, that's a pretty big deal, and Doppler needs to be careful that he doesn't, you know, auto-lose top lane and just set up gank after gank for Shermfire.
And the difference between top is close to unacceptable for a Camille, especially going for Doran's Shield into Blade, into a Ruby Crystal. Yeah. You're designed to not die in this lane, yet you were just that far behind by choosing to not die. That this is a big problem.
And Chippies has picked up the item where Jarvan starts to become strong, the Tiamat. And before that, he was already doing fantastically. Have to see how this lane continues. Mid lane, though, fairly even between Fnatic and Roma, but Roma is down in CS by about a wave.
Yeah, and this is kind of expected as Corki. Unless you're playing something that's an assassin, or, you know, that Kassadin that denies a lot of the magic damage, he's just so down safe. Chippies over the wall.
Yeah, doesn't get too much. Just some auto attack harass. Shermfire was waiting just behind him in case anything went south, and they'll use that time to try and take away blue buff.
Yeah, I mean, we say it's not that much, but they get access to the top side blue buff, and when bottom lane was going so poorly, I mean, a recall had to come out of King and Destiny. That is actually a massive deal for Fnatic continually being able to shove out this wave.
Yeah, still a very much conscious trade, however, from Sin. They know their top lane's losing, and it's good that Direwolves are playing towards its spawn, but at the same time, Sin's bottom lane has control, and they're playing towards that. So this is very much just trade.
Still, Direwolves are the ones with the slight goal lead at the moment. Let's see if they can turn it into anything. But at the moment, it's still exactly where we left it off. Bottom lane going in favor of Sin. Mid lane fairly even, slightly in Fnatic's favor, and top lane massively Chipper's favor to kick things off. Shermfire and Juve, though, they're just farming side by side. No early aggression from either jungler.
You could see that Ryoma wanted a recall there. She's out of potions, has got the Dark Seal, and with that should have a little bit of a sustain advantage over Corki. However, Corki's still sitting on a potion, shield, as well as that Warlord's Bloodlust. Actually can start HP trading quite effectively against Cassiopeia, as long as he avoids the all-in.
It's very hard to get all-in with a Hex Drinker there to deny it. And you also look towards Ryoma and say, does he know? Because a lot of players don't realize when a QSS or a Hex Drinker has been purchased and all-in at the wrong time.
Yeah, spam the tab key, guys. As soon as you're running back the lane, just keep spamming tab. Look at everyone's items, make sure you know what's up. Goes back, actually gets a Blasting Rod, so we're going to see double mana item coming out. This is most likely going to be the roller build, so Ryoma just happy to scale as the game progresses.
Cassiopeia is one of those champions you can afford to do just that. Top side of the map, Doppler training a little bit better against Chippies, but the damage from Jarvan incredibly strong at the moment.
I mean, when you're 20 CS down, Fish, the damage kind of already done. Even if you force him out of lane once, you might lose like a 6 CS wave. You're probably not going to be able to make up that gap without help from a jungler, without really a hard shove coming
And this isn't like a Jace Poppy matchup that we saw at Worlds, where 20 CS is expected and you're still going to be a Poppy at the end of the day. Anyway, you're a Camille, you need to carry, you need to kill people, and you need to be able to, at the very least, control a Jarvan as the game goes on, but Chippies is pretty far ahead.
Meanwhile, Shermfire makes his way down into the bottom lane, gets spotted out by a nice ward placed down by Rogue, despite the fact there was a pink ward in that brush. So denies the gank from the Wolves jungler.
And I'm really curious where this game is heading because you can see it's pretty slow, methodical pace right now. Junglers are trying to trade vision. You can see that ward on top side of river, mirrored by the ward right there that you can see on the top of your screen. A lot of effort being, I guess, put into sweeping out any kind of offensive vision. And with the package now, maybe a play goes towards bottom lane. He just used it.
Yeah,
No, not at all.
First package of the game just because it expanded to go back to the mid lane.
Not a very big package.
You always have to use it, though. Don't let it expire, guys. If you don't press your W button, something went wrong. And you can see FBI and Rogue playing up pretty far. Want to get Juves into this bottom lane gank.
Yeah, so they've got the safety of their jungler behind them. Shonefire's not close by. There's
Oh,
the
they're
engage
in.
going in. They get the charm as well as a knockup. Flash forward for Juves, and first blood's picked up by Rogue. Great synergy.
That's actually really good play coming out of both of them because they burn their summoner spells instantly. And what we've learned out of King is he will not flash unless he absolutely has to. He will look for the window to be able to survive, and that cost him his life right there.
It certainly did. Shunfire a little bit late to respond, so Sin make the first play. They get in early. That's a minion, so they get out unimpeded.
And it's so hard playing against Rakan because when he steps out of the brush like that, he can be feigning, he can be baiting, you know, you don't know whether Juves is there. But if you don't flash instantly, he's like Alistar. He's on you in a heartbeat.
It's actually harder than Alistar, though, because he can W or he can Alt W. One of them you can dodge, the other one you absolutely cannot with Zion. But you don't know which one he's going to do until he's jumping at you from the brush. It's almost impossible to dodge.
We're on the mid lane, Roma and Fnatic going at it. Good trade coming out from Cassiopeia, holding on to the ultimate. Fnatic is trying to keep looking away from Snake, make sure it didn't get petrified. But doing a good job so far in this mid lane. That kill in the bottom lane, however, does set up Sin to have an advantage lane, which is in the bottom lane, kind of matching what's happened at the top side of the map.
And realistically, kind of already had that advantage, at least to a degree. The big concern that you'd be happy about if you were Direwolves is that the kill went to Rogue. If that went to the Xayah, then you were in big trouble.
And still, top side of the map is going heavily in favor of Chippy.
Thank you, Twitter analyst. Really discussing the important part. He's dead.
Yeah, that's going to be Petrifying Gaze getting thrown towards Fancy. He's able to flash away. Roma wants to chase further forward, but no poison on Fantix. One more auto attack. He gets it. They're going to try and run away. Shonefire flashing forward after the auto, making sure he secured that kill. Rogue's forced to dash away as well. Good return kill, but top side of the map, Chippy's wants a one-on-one solo kill. Dockler will finally get back into the safety of his turret.
Doesn't flash, so good on Dockler for knowing that he'll be able to survive.
Oh, that's a dive though. Chippy's is underneath the turret,
Chippies.
just out of turret aggro, and will be traded upon here, finding quite a few minions as well.
Both junglers now pathing topside. You can see Dockler's actually just going to let him go. Ward's very deep, and Shern, he's done the right thing. He's mirrored very well. Now we'll run into Juves.
Get some good damage down to kick things off. Juves will drink some of his ale and he'll be just fine. But there's a flash forward from Chippy's. Good body slam for Juves. Gets him out of safety. But that Scuttle Crab blocked him there, and a fantastic ultimate. Knocks them both back.
That's a huge cast. I mean, you could see how much... Oh, again.
Yeah, engaged bottom lane. There is a Dark Passage there. King will get back to safety, but takes a lot of damage.
I mean, he has a refillable potion, but that's just not going to be enough for sustain at the moment. I want to go back to what Juves was able to do topside. You saw how badly Dockler lost that trade. And with how Chippies was, healing up, it was going to be a turret dive coming in from Shernfire once the wave was instantly cleared. So Juves, even though he gets chunked out himself, actually saves the life of his top laner.
Yeah, he was at the right place, just a little bit late, but still there in time. You'd still look towards Chippies and say, okay, you can push the wave, you can wait for minions, and then you can dive. But he went early. He definitely went early, and he is lucky that the Camille ultimate didn't trap him in turret range where he would have died. He was very close to that.
So he was. Meanwhile, Destiny flashing forward. He put a Dark Passage back to bring Shernfire into the fight, who repels immediately away from the Xayah ultimate. Teleport bottom lane. They lock down Shernfire. He's in trouble. He'll get taken down here, leaving the kill over, but Rogue still gets it with Ignite. So that cocoon from Shernfire denies some gold.
That should have been a cancelled TP, however. He was already 100% dead because of a bad hook that came out.
And that means, meanwhile mid.
Yeah, Petrifying Gaze locking down Fantasy. He's forced to Valk away. Roma can't chase any further forward for it.
And at this stage, if you were Sin, which is I think they're making a mistake in doing this, is you bring Gragas down, you 4 men for the turret. You know there's no response from Shernfire. You force yourself to the turret because Chippies is going to smack it. At the very least, you get his teleport and equalize what happened.
Let's see if they can still take this one down. Rogue will get hooked here by Destiny, but this turret will fall. First brick falls to Sin. Knockup doesn't connect from Rogue, and FBI can't follow up.
And you can see that actually is just advantages mirrored across Summoner's Rift. Chippies, he's 40 CS up. He's going to get solo turret gold. On the bottom lane, the exact same thing can be said for FBI right now. The problem is that Tristana You know, she's pretty much guaranteed farm with how this current meta works. She's going to be able to pick up big side lanes. Doppler, however, if he cannot win the 1v1, will be forced after so much CS.
And this is, again, why I say you bring down Juice, you have 4 there, because you can continue to make a play and push that tempo for even a second turret if it comes to it. At least get that teleport from Chippies, because you are losing the 1v1. You're going to have a really bad time up there now.
Sin are going to make the next proactive play, which is sending the AD carrying support towards top side of the map. Destiny is already up here, but King is still pushing out the bottom lane wave.
And as long as it hits the turret, that's absolutely fine for King to do, because that means there's going to be no freeze, and the wave is going to bounce back into Chippy's Waiting's arms. At the same time, top lane, sure, that can turn into a freeze, but if you bring up Shern, it's a little bit easier to push out. Actually, it's not going to become a freeze, it's Cannon Creep Wave.
Disaster.
FPI's going to eventually push this one out. Direwolves will have some time to react, but instead they send Destiny back down to the bottom side of the map. Fantix as well, Shernfire are collapsing.
So they actually don't think they can 2v2, so instead they're just going to hard push for this turret, and no one really outpushes Tristana at the moment, Fish.
Yeah, and they've got the package on Fantix. They've also got Shernfire here. Remember, Jarvan already rotated to mid to cover that wave, and it takes 30 seconds for Xayah to push up towards the turret in the top lane. So Direwolves, with that teleport advantage, have the ability to make the first play.
And Juice is going back to base with Rakan. Camille is still down here.
I mean, this still could potentially fall down. They've got Sheen, they've got the satchel that can go into the turret.
And there's a cannon. This is probably gone.
Very curious to see what Sin's response is, because they had top side of the map. They're going to get top lane out for a 2-for-1 trade. Rift Herald was there as well, but Juice and Rogue coming back might have been a big mistake.
I mean, if they don't come back at the same time, that's probably going to be an inhibitor at this stage of the game. They just push so much faster. At the same time, they're still giving solo gold over to FBI, so there's a win condition. Good.
Lockdown mid lane. He gets stunned as well. He can't get out of this one, and Chippy's will fall right and gets another kill.
It's great rotation. Rogue's actually keeping Sin gaming in this game right now. He's absolutely been everywhere.
He's a one-man wrecking crew, and he's setting up Big Tommy in the mid lane as well with 2 kills on the Cassiopeia, ramping up on that Rod of Ages Cass. The big thing about what they're doing right now, Sin, is that whilst they lost that push, they lost the turret, this almost guarantees one. And so you can set that up, and that's in mid lane, which is the hardest to break out of if they're looking towards which lane to place.
So Rift Herald will get taken down, and if Doppler can scale up, get to his next couple of items, he should be just fine in a long extended side lane, but still has quite a few, quite a bit of gold
Teleport coming into bottom lane, and they've already got Shernfire there. Doppler needs to start running and not that direction, Fish.
He's going to get locked down here by Shernfire. Hits the Cocoon at max range, might almost solo kill, but Doppler turns around, forces the repel. Let's see if he can get back out of this one. Trying to lock him down with the ultimate, can't quite get there. Will be shut down by Chippies.
Yeah, that's actually a really nice game coming out of Chippies and Shern. It's impossible to know that you have to run up back towards mid lane if you're Doppler there. He was trying to do the right thing. But just good read. They expend a lot for it. They get the teleport out of Chippies finally, but still more effort going to shut down this split pushing Camille.
Still, the gold is slightly in favor of the Direwolves despite all the proactive efforts coming up from Sin. They still have Rift Herald in their back pocket. We'll have to see how Juice decides to use this major objective.
Still consider this a very weird back and forth between the teams at the moment. The gold lead's not reflective of any real advantage, and with a turret lead to the Direwolves, that can be brought back quickly, again, by the Rift Herald to just break that middle lane, and that's the most important turret realistically. Camille has 2 turrets that are dead, so it can freeze for an extended amount of time, can catch up in farm slowly, and will have the teleport coming up very shortly compared to that of Chippies. So ultimately, whilst Direwolves are making these good plays, this is a window where Sin pull it back.
Big spike for Fantix though. He's picked up his Trinity Force. King has completed his Infinity Edge, but still 40 CS behind FBI, who has Essence Fever and a single Seal picked up, just components.
Both teams actually posturing to fight here. You can see that they bring up the Camille, see if they can get a flank. They're trying to deny Vision back into that mid lane. I mean, turret with a Rift Herald drop right here. They're actually going top. This is really smart. They're going to be able to take tier 2 top turret, and it's a very long way to run if you are the Direwolves.
Yeah,
right
great
now.
Vision control coming up from Sin so far.
And you
covering
watch
the entire top side of the map.
Direwolves now. Do they immediately recall their Nord Summon, or do they push mid instead?
They go straight towards mid. Like, good Petrifying Gaze from Roma will knock back multiple members of the Direwolves. They're going to continue pushing for this outer turret. Camille is still split pushing, and they're 2 members of Sin top side of the map. That Rift Pill will get a charge on towards the inhibitor. Direwolves have to be careful.
How far do you keep going if you're the Direwolves? You broke a turret, sure, but you're about to lose 2 additional ones. Juves is just going to flank them, look to try and stop the recalls, as Rusty said. And right now, Dockler's on a turret, as well as FBI.
Oh, that inhibitor taking quite a bit of damage.
With a vision, too. They know exactly where Direwolves are, even if they come up.
Shonefire's pathing his way up. Fantix wants to follow too, but Juves is going to be able to cut off their pass. Meanwhile, Dockler will get jumped on by King as well as Destiny, taking some turret aggro. Locks down Destiny. Good hook will bring him back in. He tries to fight King, taking so much damage. Forced to heal, flushes over the wall. Destiny goes over as well and brings back King. Good pick in the bottom lane, but they break inhibitor turret top side of the map and look for a fight. They lock down Jarman. He's going to be the first one to flash away. Flags and drags his way out. Juves looking for the snipe. Not enough damage, buddy.
And that's a big Cocoon from Sherdfire, stopping FBI from doing the damage. That would have been the kill. That would have just been a trade in the end. And with an open inhibitor top lane, there was a chance that Sin come up big from that. But the star player of Direwolves is going pretty big in this one.
It certainly is. You can see he's up in CS. That's very hard to do against an AoE farmer. And he's been able to stay ahead of experience the whole game long. They're really picking on Dockler this game. I mean, he's only died twice, but in the manner that he's died, you know, willing to burn 3 summoner spells, get over the wall, really looking to shut him down. Chippies, because of that extra gold, he's able to survive the gank. And Dockler, unfortunately, a little bit further behind, he dies.
Yeah, he's 6,200 gold behind Chippies at the moment.
6,200?
1,200
Far out. He only has 6,000 gold.
That's how far he's behind. No, he's only 1,200 gold behind. So that's an entire tier, Matt.
Yep.
Which is a big lead from Chippies.
And that's probably the difference between his Trinity Force and not his Trinity Force right now. When you go back towards those items, he's close to a spike. If he had it, might have been able to kill King. At least the Sheen part.
Let's see what the next proactive move is, because it's still very even between the two teams. However, Sin have the Goldie now, a very small one at that. Package has been picked up by Fantix and can look for another major objective.
They're actually looking top lane. You can see they're pinging onto Tommy. We want to see if they can get into the Cassiopeia lane. Cannot right now. Ryam is actually at a very nice spot in the game. He's got 20% cooldown reduction as well as that that roller stacking up. And Dockler is getting some time to just sit in a side lane and try and scale a little bit.
And if he ever scales up, he's got an open inhibitor to take down the top side of the map. If Chippies ever can't one-on-one him.
Top lane is kind of hard to push though, because you need Baron off the map to be able to push it. So that's not going to be the real priority. Giving him access to that bottom lane turret certainly would be. Shern's here again, Fish.
I know he's there.
Wards too. Shernfire just shadowing him. Dockler's got to be careful. The Cocoon is going to mix, but that's a lot of damage coming out from Shern. Blast cones there. Shernfire flashes over to get over the other side as well. Destiny will get an assist for this one. Shernfire takes it away. Meanwhile, mid lane, Fantix in trouble. He's going to fall. FBI goes further forward to pick up that kill, and King in some trouble. And returning damage, he gets the kill, stands his ground and delivers. Now Juves and Rogue forced to run away. Direwolves are looking for this team fight. Ryman will get hooked up as well. He's going to be the next casualty here. Rocket jumps coming out from King. Ryman's dead, and this should be Baron to the Wolves.
What an absolute disaster for Sin Gaming. They go for the aggressive play, but one more time they get caught out. King going forward actually mucks up the rocket jump flash. Normally you can get more range. Instead, he just cancels the animation. Rusty, you smile a little bit. Unlikely error out of King, but it's still a Baron buff.
Yeah, it's still just funny. It'll be they get the Baron buff because 4 already dead, only starting to respawn now. And all of this is the kill Dockler and just take apart the map of Sin game. And it's working because Sin's responses, their trades, have been nowhere near as well timed or as efficient in what they're doing.
And this is what happens when you decisively attack a 1-4 Fish. We saw last week, you know, hesitation to go towards Jax. It was allowing him to 1v1, then 1v1 the next person. When you attack with, you know, 2-3 people, when you burn summoner spells to shut him down, it means you can force the issue on the other side of the map before they really have a chance to set anything up.
Didn't make it any easier for Sin, the fact that Direwolves Chippy was able to dominate top side of the map very early on in the matchup where Camille should do all right. Now, with this Baron buff, with a 2,500 gold lead, Direwolves can look to try and increase their advantage.
Yeah, look, you get poked out, and a lot of people will think we're being harsh, but it's not a negative 20 CS game. That's all we're trying to say. I mean, sure, you can fall down a creep wave, you can play a little bit hesitantly. I mean, at least at that stage of the game is very scary. So pay respect, fall down, you know, your one creep wave, but make sure you're able to farm up. Unfortunately for Dockler, trading a little bit too aggressively, fell down that 20 CS, and when you do that in experience, there's no way really back in the game.
And some of this is easy fixtures, which is why you bring it up in the first place, right? Having a Doran's shield and a Doran's blade with all your components for a Trinity Force and sit on that for 10 minutes, you're never going to have a control ward. And without that control ward, you're going to get ganked unless your laners ward for you, protect you. But they're not. They're trying to trade on the opposite side of the map. And whilst he's playing proactively, the rest of the team are playing reactively to what Direwolves are doing. And when they see the gank is only when they go. So there's two ways to fix this if you're Sin.
No corrupting potion of Sun either for Doc. We'll have to see how he changes things in game number 2. But Sin aren't out of this one just yet. They're only 2,000 gold behind, and Direwolves have not made any plays off the back of their Baron buff so far. Camille is still split pushing in the bottom side of the map, has her Trinity Force. However, Jarvan has both his team fighting items complete with the Titanic Hydra as well as the Black Cleaver.
And they're just ignoring Camille. I mean, A, she needs to scale up a little bit more to be relevant. And you can just close the size of the map right now by taking the Jarvan mid lane. He can traverse over walls, whilst Doctor has been able to pick up that Trinity Force, which is a big deal for turret pushing. Baron buff creeps are just going to do it way better.
Fnatic as well as King is still top side of the map. This turret is taking an absolute beating. Sin going to sacrifice it. And let it be taken down by the Direwolves who push in with their Baron buff. About a third of the buff is left. Let's see if they can get anything else off of it.
As long as there's a Camille bottom, there's an opportunity to push top.
Oh, that's an engage from Juice. They knock back Fantix. He's going to get charmed and knocked up, but still at half health. Valve's away. He's perfectly fine. Teleport is coming in from Chippies. He wants to get into the fight.
Chippies.
Jumps in, taking a lot of damage. He's forced to take the Dark Passage out. Direwolves will retreat from this fight. Meanwhile, Camille's able to take down bottom lane out of turret, and Sin is still pushing to cancel recalls.
Exactly right. If they can continue to push up, if they can cancel any of the recalls, this becomes very dicey because Dockler, whilst he can't fight the Jarvan right now, can continue to push in the turret. Juge, you can't get too far ahead because they'll just turn and kill you, but they do trade rather well here, Sin Gaming.
Yeah, that's the second inhibitor turret that's been taken down by Sin.
They haven't even broken the first turret in the mid lane, Fish.
What the heck? That was a really surprisingly well-engaged fight coming out from Juice there.
Certainly wasn't. I think it was a bad teleport from Chippies. I mean, he completed, then he dove the turret. If he had just stuck around full health, maybe they can pressure the dive, but when everyone else has used cooldowns, and then you go solo under the turret, Dockler doesn't have to respond.
No, and you couldn't be more happy for that if you were Dockler. He gets to catch up some CS difference, he gets his Trinity Force spike, and that's when the trade happens. Things go well for Sin, all things considered there.
And I really like that coming out from a lot of teams we see when they're behind, when they're up against the Baron buff, they say, okay, let's sit back, let's farm this one out. Sin take the proactive approach, make a stand, and it makes a big difference.
And I think the big thing was that Chippies is a strong member of the Direwolves. He was joining lane versus the fact that Ryoma and FBI are the two very strong members right now of Sin. And they're always going to be at the fight. They are the four. They're the ones that are going to have to stand and deliver against this lineup.
Yeah.
Sure, you know, Fantix is at a power spike, but he's gone more, which is a little bit more of a defensive item. And King, he's getting towards his second Zeal item now, but wasn't at that stage when he was sieging up these turrets. So they have been trading power across the map.
I'm just going to say this as a support main. I look at Sin's items and Ryoma just makes me happy. He has 3 control wards. That's 2 more than your average player on League of Legends, let alone mid laners.
That's 3 more than your average player.
Okay, yeah, look, I speak like a support player.
Hey, I played support this morning. I bought 0 control wards. I built a site.
You are not playing a support player. You're Smite Alistar.
I didn't play Smite. Played Ignite Alistar.
No, you played Alistar with a Trinity Force and a Static Shiv.
And nearly an Infinity Edge.
And nearly an Infinity Edge. Rusty, please stop this man.
And I had no control wards.
I agree with what Ejim said on Twitter about you. That's a reportable offense.
No, he said that's a bannable offense. He went one step further, Fish. He skipped the jury and just went straight to the executioner.
Oh boy, but no Infinity Edge Alistars in this match. As it stands, Cena only 2,000 gold behind the Direwolves, which is not that big.
Going aggressive. He's got Fantix behind him, but this is a bold move.
Direwolves are still pushing in towards the inside of the map. They do have the advantage, but as we mentioned, not a drastic one at the moment. Chippies is still working towards his Gargoyle's Stone Plate. No big spikes coming out from Dockler just yet. He really needs that Ravenous Hydra that he's looking to pick up.
Yeah, another game, another Ravenous Hydra coming out of Camille. That sustained 1v1 is really what they're going for, not at all looking for the team fight. Because she can team fight if she gets the correct items.
Yep, for sure.
I mean, as soon as Dockler picks that up, Chippies can no longer go one-on-one against him, just because the sustain that Camille will have, and lack of that Chippies will not have. Meanwhile, mid lane inner turret is taken down.
I guess just at the rapid fire cannon point of King's item build on Tristana, there isn't really a team fight hope in the world for Sin Gaming against Direwolves without the flash engages coming out of them. Super flash reliant to get that going. Rogue is the only one that can really engage right now, and that's why turrets continue to drop, but they're getting King closer to those items, and even flash range is hard to get towards with Tristana then.
But at the same time, if you're FBI, you don't want to fight until you have that Infinity Edge power spike. You want to be able to go toe-to-toe with him, and if he ever comes into range, absolutely blow him up. King is known to jump forward on the Tristana.
Yep.
He's a dash-forward Lucian as well. He's just an in-your-face AD carry, and if you ever do that against a Xayah that has Infinity Edge, you generally die very quickly.
Well, there's a hook coming out towards Rogue, and that's a rocket jump forward. Rogue will dash out, takes quite a bit of damage from Tristana. Incredibly scary stuff coming out
He
from
jumped
King.
forward? I, for one, am shocked.
Never. He wouldn't. He did not jump forward in that whole game last night and destroy me. Not once.
Now let's see what Sin decides to do next, because Camille does have that Ravenous Hydra. He is split pushing against Jarvan. Fantix, however, is shadowing Chippies at the moment.
Essentially looking for the buff. You can see Ashley goes now.
That's going to be Flying Dragon missing. Here comes Fantix. No package available, so only has that Valkyrie, and Doppler just skips out of it. Chippy's going to flash further forward, looking to chase forward. Will dodge out the Flying Drag.
The problem is that right now Sin are getting nothing because they had sent FBI back from his Infinity Edge. So whilst that looked like a lot burned, Chippy uses the flash, so it is mirrored. Oh, that's a little bit strange.
Yeah, good damage on the Jews, but he just goes back. Body bop. Shenfire will dodge out the ultimate with his repel.
Here.
Dark Passage is there to bring it back
to safety.
And that's
Camille.
a teleport? You have to cancel that.
Right,
you know he does not.
I mean, he felt like he had to complete because Chippies had already made it there to the fight, even though he doesn't have ultimate. Goes
That's a
in.
flash engage. They're looking for Fantix. Going to get locked down by Doppler. He's stuck in the pit. Will be able to knock both of them out by King, but he gets shut down because he moves forward. Double kill has been picked up by Ryoma, and that's 3 kills in a team fight by Sid. Chippies will get out with Destiny, but massive engage.
What an absolutely huge engage. Doppler and Rogue working together, but on the back end, Tommy hits a 2-man Cassiopeia ult. They're going to continue this one, Fish.
Doppler will get taken down by the Ignite, popped by Destiny. Sin, however, not deterred from taking down this Baron buff. They want this. Juves is fairly low. Chippy's going to try and get in, but instead, Baron has been taken as Sin turned the game around.
Yeah, a little bit like the Kalista. The Xayah Feathers do a lot of damage, so no smite coming out of Juves. There was a 47 HP Baron for a brief moment there.
And you'd be happy to trade Doppler for a Baron buff. Yes, the 1 kill goes down, but they still have to use things to kill him, and you get the Baron buff on 4 members. A little bit disappointed if you're Camille that you don't get it for your split pushing. Seems to be proven that by teleporting with his Ravenous Hydra, he's happy to team fight.
Yeah, that was a strange one. But at the end of the day, all's well that ends okay. Let's take another look at this one. Juve actually looks like he's getting caught, but we've said time and time again, you don't want to catch the Juves, you don't want to go fishing for him.
And the big thing here is actually King dying. And the reason that King dies after the teleport comes through, you have to keep your eyes peeled on, is that he's trying to save Fantix by going forwards to ult Camille out of his own ultimate, and then gets hit by a Cassiopeia, and that's big.
Yeah, so here's the ult coming right there. Gets him out, but then Cassio nails him with the ult. And that means that Ryoma gets the instant double kill. They're able to speed it up here. I mean, on the back end of it, Doppler is a little bit greedy for the Honey Fruit, doesn't go with the team, and ultimately falls down. But still, we already mentioned it. That's a box, that's an Ignite. That's a lot expended to take down the low health top laner.
It's also FBI. They got the root onto King, allowing that petrifying engage from Ryoma. So great play all around from Sin to kick off that engage. They're now back even in gold and still have half a Baron buff to work with.
You might be right, Spawn. The secret to beating Direwolves is to let them come to you with a comp that beats it. Cassiopeia, Xayah, Gragas, Rakan, all of these champions excel at that.
They've got double Knight's Vow as well. 1 on FBI, 1 on Ryoma.
And why would you not? When your carries are as good as FBI and Ryoma at the moment, why would you not play a 2-carry comp and try and protect them? And if you are Doppler, I think at this stage you're doing the right thing. You're trying to facilitate that team fight and trying to let, you know, the Cassiopeia and the Xayah actually put in the work that they need to do.
Sin able to break the mid lane out of turret finally. Gold still fairly even between the 2 squads. The Baron buff is still up for Sin. Fanta's going to use his time to go back to base. He's picked up his rapid fire cannon.
And now I've been questioning the late game decision making of the Direwolves a little bit lately. And this is an area where they need to excel. They're 1 mistake away from losing this game. They've got double open inhibitor. You've got a Xayah at 3 items that's going to be able to push through turrets incredibly well. Not to mention the Camille. If you make a mistake here, if Shern goes in aggressively and dies, you will lose the game.
And they're afraid, Sin, of the engage from Direwolves. They've got everyone here. They're respecting that holy. There's no teleport, but there is an open inhibitor top. There is an open inhibitor bottom, and Sin are choosing to group as 5 mid. And yes, that is respect, but maybe you look at that and say that could be inhibitors.
Bottom lane is being pushed in by the Direwolves. Big creep wave there. Top lane will slowly be pushed back by Sin. Baron buff is about to expire. There's only about 1 or 2 more minion waves. And that's going to be Direwolves to move further forward. They try to lock down Rogue. They kill Doppler before he can do anything in this fight. A big Cataclysm coming out from the Jarvan. FBI will flash away. Ryma's trying to fight from the back lines of the jungle. King will take down Rogue. FBI still trying to keep his captain alive, but he will fall. King dashes forward. FBI looking for the kill. Will get knocked back by Tristana. Ryoma, however, able to take down Shermfire all by himself inside of the red jungle. Dies to Fantix. Big team fight from the Wolves.
Huge team team fight out of Direwolves. Shernfire actually makes the right call, flashes forward aggressively, nails the cocoon, and even though King goes toe-to-toe with FBI, he actually ults him away, pays a little bit of respect, and they're going to look to push down mid and bottom lane.
Yeah, teleporting bottom, so that's where Chippies is going to go. This could be the play that not quite ends the game, but opens the map up for Direwolves. And Sin, they fight back, they get the Baron, and it looks like they've fought all they could, and it wasn't enough.
Direwolves will back off after taking down the inhibitor, and again, Direwolves, second time this game, making the proactive attempt to fight a team that's pushing in that is ahead.
And I mean, it was a risky call because if Shern gets Cassiopeia altered straight away, immediately, I mean, this can go all kinds of pear shapes, but he has the Banshee Veil available. He actually didn't even flash. Suppler just walked at him.
Yeah, he was
That's
trying to pop the Banshees.
And then, you know, big ultimate comes out of the Jarvan. And this just turned into a front-to-back team fight where you have a stone plate Jarvan versus only a jungler really frontlining.
Yeah, absolutely. FBI and Ryoma, they do their work as much as they can at the back end of this, but there's only so much that you can really achieve from this point. And it's good from Fantix and Chippies to secure that kill. But the timing of that kill could not have been better. You look at Sin, you say, set up your sideways, threaten the inhibitors, use the Baron buff, but they ran it down mid.
Yeah. Typical Sin style. However, it's 2,000 gold that separates these two teams. Direwolves looking very comfortable in this match still.
Just leaves you wondering, Fish. Their team fighting is so good, they could just do the step before the team fight.
Yeah, if they could actually make the team fight a hard decision for the Direwolves to make. Right now, Direwolves get to pick when they fight because they're the ones with all of that sidewave control. Although, they do have the teleport advantage on Camille. While she's pushing into super creeps, Camille deals with super creeps quite easily, Fish.
Especially with Ravenous Hydra, Doppler will have the necessary lifesteal to continue in that lane. You just saw the gold advantage there. It's still the same top side of the map.
I just don't know how you win a 5v5 team fight now. You've got a Locket that's going to be across from Destiny. If Chippies pops Gargoyle, Stoneblade, Locket at the same time, that is so much extra health for everyone else on his team. And then you've got perfect mixed damage coming out of, you know, the magic damage on the Elise as well as the Corki, and then just the brute power that Tristana is going to be currently bringing to this fight. And as I said, there's no real tanks apart from Chippies running around this map.
Yeah, and you know, usually you'd look at the Locket and Gargoyle Stoneblade and say, well, it's for burst, because the Locket goes away very quickly, rapidly decays. However, there isn't that crazy amount of burst coming out of Sin. It's a lot of consistent damage, and so maybe it will be good. Maybe it can outplay with timings, and the shield will be incredibly large. But there's also an opportunity for Sin to just let it happen. Just let the shield subside and just keep damaging through it.
Well, let's see if they can do that. Still a very even game, 36 minutes in. Direwolves do have, actually they have broken the inhibitor bottom side of the map. Camille is still dealing with super minions that are crashing and slowly. Fantix is the one that is kind of split pushing top side of the map. No package available for the Corki, but does blue buff to clear out waves quite effectively.
I love Fantix, he's my boy, but no Static Shiv to go with the exhaust fish makes me a little bit upset. And he's only got room for that Infinity Edge, so he's definitely going to be Static Shiv less as the game goes on. Makes me worry about the success that this Corki is going to find.
I, however, very happy with Silent build. Love it a lot. Just a rapid fire cannon, you just need the range. More than Morty, it's lots of respect.
It's not a fun way to play Corki.
Well, it's the smart way. Meanwhile, Sin looking to try and contest this Baron that has been started by the Direwolves.
Teleport coming in nice and early. They want a 5v5.
Oh, but that's so quick. Already taken down, but they go for a big engage. Rogue locks down everyone. Juice body pops forward with the flash. This looks like a big team fight for Sin. FBI has killed Sin. They've taken down 3 members of the Direwolves after Baron's picked up.
What an absolute cracker of a team fight. Rogue is a man possessed today. He flies into the whole team, Rusty, and gets them all.
And that's what you can do is steal Direwolves. They're trying to prevent this from happening. They're not going to get it, and they'll just push mid right now. Dockler's stopping recalls.
He's trying to.
Is.
Oh, gets them again. He's probably going to die for this one, or does he? He gets out. He's going to low sweep, forces a flash. Meanwhile, the rest of Sin, they're pushing through. They're going to get 2 turrets for this.
Yeah, they certainly are going to look for the inhibitor as well. Still only 2 members available, although they do have Baron buff.
And open inhibitors top and bottom. If Sin decide to stay and commit to something extra, it's risky, but it's definitely possible.
They're doing it. 8 seconds on Destiny. Shernfire now, 11 seconds from coming back up as well as King. 2 inhibitors for that.
So strange to go top lane though. Elder Drake potentially is why they've gone for it. Normally you would see a team take the bottom lane inhibitor. But at the same time, if they want to fight for this Elder Drake, they only have an air themselves. Certainly is possible.
Ooh. Rogue is just so good at League of Legends sometimes. It really is a pleasure to watch. Rakan, a playmaking champion. That's right in Rogue's wheelhouse in terms of what he wants to do. He's a Thresh player. but that was special.
And we talked about him. He's the big playmaker from Sin, and he's going to continue doing just that. 2-1-10 on the Rakan at the
100%
moment.
kill participation. You just don't kill people unless they're ogres on the map right now. Unfortunately for Sin Gaming, however, they stayed too long. They weren't able to reset that map, and Elder Drake does fall down. So whilst they have the inhibitors, they really don't want to fight right now.
Now curious to see how long can Sin survive against this Baron buff. Sorry, Elder Dragon buff.
And Baron, yeah. So they're dealing with both. They've managed to reset, but the 2 inhibitors should slow down Direwolves by a substantial amount.
And surprisingly, for a team that just lost a big Baron buff fight and 2 inhibitors, life's quite good for the Direwolves right now, fellas.
Yep. Bit weird.
I'm in host mode, sorry. Sponsors are flashing everywhere, Fish. I'm having fun.
Yeah, I remember you at League of Origin. This game, however, still in favor of the Direwolves. 2,000 gold
Bigger
up.
than a Sydney football player.
Shout out to Tony Lockett.
But again, very even game between Sin as well as the Direwolves. Direwolves definitely look like they have the upper hand at the moment. They've got the 2 major buffs of Baron as well as Elder Dragon. Continue to push for these objectives. They just have to be careful of the split push from Doppler, or do they? Because Teleport is down for Camille.
Ooh,
They got
good.
Showfire though. There's a Dark Passage, but he gets charged by Roe. Stops him from taking the damn Dark Passage.
And somehow again, Journey's sitting mid lane, whilst the rest of his team is on the opposite side of the map. He dies, and this could cost them the game.
He gets trapped by FBI, followed up by everything else. Direwolves are making the play to force Sin back to base. Remember, they've got the Baron, they've got the Elder. This is the correct move from the Direwolves.
And they are going to be able to stop most of Sin here. Sorry, Direwolves are going to be able to push through this and take down one of the inhibitor turrets, as well as the inhibitor. Now they're going back to base. Baron buffs only on Fantix and Chippy. Sin are trying
Camille's
to rush
pushing.
out.
I mean, I hope you can recall, guys,
Camille's
because if
gonna
you
end the
can't,
game.
she's going to end the game.
Looking for it. Look at that. They locked down. King is forced to use his QSS, trying to flash away, looking for the rocket jump as well. There's a Dark Passage, but is that a trap? Juice is not going to be able to knock them back in. Camille
And here
is
goes
hitting
Dockler.
it. Dockler's going to be able to get some damage
Chippies
here.
is
Chippies is back in base. Is that enough to stop him? Fantic's going to go back as well. He's got the Empower recall, so it should be 1 Nexus turret falling, I believe. Or they're going to go
Dockler.
5 for it. Dockler, what are you doing? He's going to get taken down here. Fantix will Valk on his face. One more bomb should be enough. There is a range minion attacking him, but it will be King that picks up that kill.
And you can see both these teams, they're starting to get desperate. The game's getting a little bit sloppy. First, Schernfire makes a bold call, backfires in his face. Dockler sticks around when they lose sight of where the Baron empowered recalls are. He dies as well. This game on a knife's edge, and neither team really executing crisply.
Half of it's reacting, half of it's proactive as well, and that's where this balance comes in. The set strategies have gone out the window, and it's all about what can I get right now in the next 10 seconds? What is the best play then? And that's where these trades start to come across.
And we're approaching late game here. It's 79,000 gold for the Direwolves, 76,000 for Sin. No inhibitors left for the Direwolves. 1 down for Sin. They still have mid lane inhibitor turret left up to defend against the Wolfpack.
Cassiopeia has gone back and picked up a death cap.
Ooh.
Tommy has probably, you know, approaching 900 AP at the moment.
We don't get to talk
And
about
he's still got a last item.
Yep, we don't get to talk about it too much. Cassiopeia does not need to buy boots thanks to her passive. He's waiting for that final item. Fantix does have his package though.
I think we could make a Sidewinder Cassiopeia skill. Just a thought. That'd be pretty cool. Just slither sideways. It's not hard, Fish.
Well, how much? He's got 900. He's got 892 AP.
Oh.
Go towards a second death cap. Give me the 1,000.
Luden's Echo might work as well.
And probably going to go to what?
Would he go
that could be a
Zhonya's here?
Leandre.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's his Leandra? He's even Rylai's if you want to get some extra
You do,
utility.
mate, you're talking about Ryoma. You do not want him to buy his Zhonya's.
Look,
He is in full hard carry mode.
look. I know he's a good player.
Zhonya's doesn't do maximum damage.
Oh, well, let's see what he decides to pick up. Doppler, they're looking for an engage. Will get locked down and hooked as well by Destiny.
Skill
Is it
shot,
okay?
locked in, just sending a message.
Sin marching it down mid lane.
Yeah, but look at where Direwolves were already. They're recalling from top and bottom. They've pushed out the side waves as best they can. Sin, they're making the play. It's towards the mid inhibitor, but remember with that Baron up soon, it's not necessarily just about this inhibitor. It'll be nice to have, but it's control of the Baron.
It's about keeping them here for the next 45 seconds. So they don't have vision over the Baron area. So then you can collapse into your Fog of War and look for your pick. Although he's being hooked.
They've caught FBI. He uses the cleanse, immediately throws out the ultimate very early
out.
on.
They're
There's
in.
that big Cataclysm. Locks down 4 members. Hedgefire engage, so we'll get a couple as well. King, what are you doing? He's one-on-one-ing Dockler on the side. That's suicide, King. We'll get exhausted. Fantics will stop as well. And Sin are looking to try and continue this fight. Surefires being caught out, repels down, and will die.
Dockler's dead.
Does end up dying to King. Can he get onto the flanks of his back
Juice is
line?
caught.
Big hook coming out from Destiny. Locks down Juice for maximum range. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Jungler for top laner.
And this is so back and forward, but you can see this time around, big side lanes for the Sin Gaming lineup, which means Baron in 20 seconds is a huge possibility. They can get recalls off. They can then rush back towards that part of the map. With 35 seconds still on Shermfire, he will not be around to contest.
And now you look at the fight, you say Shermfire, he can't get in. If Direwolves go there are still a lot of summoner spells missing from both of these teams. It's dangerous, but Chippies, he's already teleported. They've committed to defending this Baron, and so now you look at the team fight. Will they take it? Or will Sin take the Baron because of the smite advantage?
Sin didn't rush it. They do go back to base. They pick up a couple of items.
They don't have to rush. They have the TP, and it is going to take Shern, you know, that 20 seconds to
And super
walk
minions.
towards the Baron. And there's super minions still streaming into the base. And Direwolves already used their TP. There is no way they can feasibly defend
They're
it.
doing this on Vision to taunt the Direwolves.
Nexus turret is on half health. That is an incredibly low Baron. Chippies tries to slide in. Will take some damage. Sin continue taking it. They get the Baron buff. They lock down Fantics well. He's grounded. Takes too much damage. He's
And
dead.
they're teleporting. That's going to be the game potentially.
Dockler, he's already in the base. Kills one Nexus turret. He's up against Shermfire though. Chippies is trying to stop minions mid lane, being a bit cheeky here. But this should be game for Sin. I don't see how Direwolves get out of this.
Yeah, I certainly don't. There's going to be a super weak Crave. Super minion
Super weak.
Creep wave.
wave coming
Gotcha.
in the bottom lane.
It definitely is a super weak super minion creep wave here, Spawn. Game number 1 of Super Week. Already look like an absolute fantastic match. Direwolves trying to hold on to this one without their perfect mid laner. One Nexus turret left for the Wolves. Let's see if they can do it. Sid, march on forward. They're going to be able to take this one down. Hook goes wide from Destiny. It's now another Wolfpack. You've got to do something. Shermfire goes to the back lines. He gets destroyed. And FBI flashes on King's face. Almost takes it down instantly. Instead, they focus on Nexus and they take game 1 over the Direwolves.
And I don't know what it is, but there's something about Sin and Super Weeks because they've just done what everyone at home doubted they could. They pick up game number 1, and we are in for a cracker of a week. And what a great game to kick it off.
Yeah, you said what can they do to replicate what AV did against the Direwolves, maybe take out a victory against the Direwolves themselves. Well, just do it in your own way is Sin's answer to this one. And just have Rogue be an absolute monster.
Yeah, he was huge, but it was also kind of similar. 5v5 team fights right now do not seem to be the Direwolf style.
No, it does not. Again, late game decision making for the Direwolves. Early game looked good for them. Top side of map was winning. Bottom lane, not so much, but it wasn't that drastic. And as soon as it hit late game, it just all fell apart.
And you can see Richard's face right now. That is the face of a guy that got caught 4v5 at a Baron pit and potentially cost his team the game. I mean, what is the mental reset now? What do Direwolves have to do?
I mean, to be honest with you, it's not just Fantix that you'd be feeling that for as well. You look towards Shermfire and you say he was also caught out of position. There was times where Dockler was 1v1ing King as a Camille and a Tristana. There's these moments where all of the Direwolves aren't playing around Vision, aren't playing front to back. They're all being solo heroes.
And if you're the Direwolves now, the best reset for them is to go, okay, that was game 1. We still have 2 more games here. We can still pick up 2 points and the victory at least and stay undefeated. And that's what they have to focus towards now.
All right, cool. But let's pull this game apart a little bit. We were talking about it in such a Direwolves positive lens at the start of the game. Big advantage top side of the map going towards Chippies. He went the full tank build and tried to teamfight. Do you think that was the right call?
I mean, I think it's the right call given how behind the Camille was that early into the game. You take the team fight decision, you build for the team fights, and you take those team fights. And it just seems to me like whilst that was the correct call, it wasn't executed on well enough to push them through anywhere.
Completely agree. We never actually saw Camille in a side lane against Jubbin. They're always across different sides of the map. If we saw them actually face off, then I'd agree. Maybe he should have gone towards something else. But in this situation, he just didn't execute on the team fights perfectly.
All right, cool. And on the flip side of it, we saw that Xayah picked up a huge advantage down there in the bottom lane. We didn't talk about it because King got a triple kill and it kind of boosted him back into the game. But FBI and Rogue, they kind of bodied King and Destiny in this game. I mean, they absolutely started on him, if I'm going to be honest.
It wasn't just in the laning phase either. We saw in the team fights, every single fight, Rogue looked fantastic, except for one team fight. FBI was never getting caught out, always positioning quite nicely, and was tremendous amounts of damage for
And
the
it's
team.
not that Destiny looked bad, it's not that King looked bad, it's just how well Sin's bottom lane 2v2 did play it out. And that really is the weird contrast we had in this game is the bottom lane of Sin was winning, the top lane was losing, and it's the converse for Direwolves. And ultimately, when you hit team fighting, you kind of want your bottom lane to be winning.
And we didn't see that big matchup between Juves and Shermfire. They did nothing during the early game. They were just pathing side by side, farming it up. A couple of ganks in the bottom lane being mirrored by one another, but there was no big match. Shermfire couldn't make that impact for his solo lanes.
Yeah, he certainly couldn't. And at the end of the day, Juice was on the Gragas, the better team fighting champion, and that showed.
Yeah, and he was able to make these proactive team fights. We saw the first one, top side event, when Dire was pushing in, 4-on-5. He engaged, made sure that they did something instead of just losing turrets for free. And then again in the mid lane, taking down Shermfire through the rappel, starting a big team fight which got them Baron.
And it wasn't just that as well, right? He's also following Rogue's engages, using the flash cooldowns, and I feel like maybe that's where Direwolves can attack something quicker next time around. If Gragas has the flash, then he can engage on you. But what Sin did so well is when Gragas didn't have flash, Rogue was engaging.
Yeah, and I think they also were fighting very courageously. They were just throwing themselves at the Direwolves, and that means they pick up the first game victory. However, guys, we still want you to get involved. Use that hashtag. Tweet at us at OPL. Use the hashtag IamOPL. And make sure you're sending in your questions, anything about 7.14. We saw a very standard game, but we saw Sin pick up the victory. We'll be back after a couple of quick highlights after this break.
Close by. There's the engage going in. They get the charm as well as a knockoff. Flash forward for Juice, and First Blood's picked up by Rogue. Fancy's in trouble. He's going to fall. FBI goes further forward to pick up that kill, and King in some trouble. By returning damage, he gets the kill, stands his ground and delivers. Now Juice and Rogue forced to run away. Direwolves are looking for this team fight. Ryman will get hooked up as well. He's going to be the next casualty here. Rocket jumps coming out from King. Ryman's dead, and this should be Baron to the wall. What engage. They're looking for Fancy. He's going to get locked down by Doppler. He's stuck in the pit. We'll be able to knock both of them out by King, but he gets shut down because he moves forward. Double kill has been picked up by Roma, and that's 3 kills in a team fight by Sin. And that's going to be Direwolves to move further forward. They try to lock down Rogue. They kill Doppler before he can do anything in this fight. A big Cataclysm coming out from the Jarvan. FBI will flash away. Roma's trying to fight from the back lines of the jungle. King will take down Rogue. FBI still trying to keep his captain alive, but he will fall. King dashes forward. FBI looking for the kill. Will get knocked back by Tristana. But that's so quick. Already taken down, but they go for a big engage. Rogue locks down everyone. Juice body pops forward with the flash. This looks like a big team fight for Sin. FBI has killed Sin. They've taken down 3 members of the Direwolves after Baron's picked up. It's now another Wolfpack. You've got to do something. Shermfire goes to the back lines. He gets destroyed. And FBI flashes on King's face. Almost takes him down instantly. Instead, they focus the Nexus and they take game 1 over the Direwolves.